and I got a call from him, and my heart sank. Sushmita was a total doghouse. Nobody looked at her. Aishwarya was more balanced, more grounded, extremely beautiful, of course. Priyanka is extremely focused, intelligent, good looking, sings beautifully. What else do you want? The girls are not made to feel special. They are not carrying the flag of India forward. You can be talented, it will make you feel that you're ugly. If you're beautiful, it will make you feel you're stupid.
Priyanka Chopra, Aishwarya Rai, Sushmita Sen, these are all names you'll are familiar with. But let me add one more to that list, Sathya Saran, the woman who helped these beautiful ladies bring home their crowns. The former editor of Femina, she's also an author, and the last 2 books that she has released are on the legendary Gulzar. Please do take a look. Welcome to the Rediff Podcast, Sathya Saran.
Thank you so much.
Let's start by talking about these 2 very interesting books that are in front of us. 2 books, both on Gulzar in 1 year. What led to that?
It's a coincidence actually, and unexpected and wonderful one. Let's talk about this one first. This is a translation. Both are translations, of course. So, Gulzar Saab, Hazare Rahe Mud Ke Dekhe is written by Yatindra Mishra, as you can see. And he had also done the book on Lata Mangeshkar, and I had been pestering him that I want to do the translation. It didn't happen. And then I came to met him somewhere, and he says, Satya ji, मैंने गुलजार साहब का किताब खत्म कर दिया है और आप ही उसे translate करोगे. Now I don't know what was the reason for it, but I do suspect, because by then I had started working with Gulzar Saab on his translations, and that brings me to the other book, Caged, which is a beautiful book of his poems, where they are calling it almost like an autobiography, because he's talking of people he has worked with, whom he admires, his family, his father, a mother whom he has never seen. He's talking of very, very intimate moments in his life where he's interacted with these people and drawing little sketches in lines, right? And he asked me to translate this. And I think he was happy with what was happening. I remember I was at the airport and I got a call from him, and my heart sank, literally sank. And he said, हाँ तो आप translate कर रही हैं ना? I said, हाँ जी. He said, अच्छा है. And it was like I didn't need the plane. I could have flown directly wherever I was going. So I think there was a little bit of influence from there, and maybe he suggested the name, or maybe Yatindra felt remorse. But the fact is that both the books happened.
In Caged, like you said, he talks about his family. He's got poems dedicated to his daughter, son-in-law, grandson.
Lots of them on his grandson.
Yes, but there are quite a few unusual names there. Can you please talk about those?
Yes, when I was doing the book, I expected Bimal Roy, I expected Jagjit Singh. I know he was close to these people, Basu Bhattacharya. But then I met other people. They met Shakespeare. I said, oh, okay. I met Vincent van Gogh, even Neil Armstrong. And I think my biggest surprise was, as you mentioned earlier, Rajiv Gandhi. But Rajiv Gandhi, as a young engineer who advised him about what kind of music system, speakers to buy. So they're very slanted views of these people. And that's not only surprising, but delightful.
The title also is unusual. It's Caged, Memories Have Names. What does this title mean to him?
He says he's caged the memories of these people. When I asked him, I said, what a negative title. He says, nahi, main to pakad ke rakha hoon. And if you read the intro, he says, I'm trying to catch butterflies. So they are like butterflies to him, whom he has caged in his memory. And then the second line is typical Gulzar. We would say names have memories, but he makes it into memories have names.
Doing a biography and doing verse, how different is it for you as a writer, and as and trying to keep, especially in cage, trying to keep the essence true, understanding
Yeah.
the essence of what Gulzar Saab is trying to say?
It's tough. Any poetry is tough. Any translation is very, very tough. And I would not have taken up a translation if it hadn't been for Gulzar Saab. I mean, Gulzar Saab, you get a chance to translate, then you don't say no. But then that is like jumping into the deep end. And I must say I struggled a lot because he uses a lot of other languages. His Hindustani is flavored with Arabic, with Farsi, Urdu, of course, sometimes English. An English word stumped me for a whole day. I didn't know it was an English word. And I kept, in Devanagari, I read it as friend. And I kept saying, what is this friend? And I found out it was friend. So it wasn't easy. But because they were people we know, or at least know of, it wasn't as difficult as it could have been, because you could kind of understand the nuance of what is happening, what is he trying to say. A critical biography by Yatindra was a totally different story, because there he is analyzing, as you have seen, the man, his childhood. He's analyzing his poetry, he's analyzing his films, he's analyzing his private songs, private poetry. So there I ran into a different kind of trouble, because Hindi authors write very differently from the way we write. And yet I had to, while making it more concise, because when I wrote it the way he wrote it, Gulzar Saab looked at it and said, your style is very crisp, make it crisp. I want it crisp. So I crisped it, I put it in the oven and I cooked it. I said, isko karo, isko nikalo, jo bhi hai extra nikalo. So there was a big difference. Here I had to get under the skin of how Gulzar thinks, how he feels more than thinks. There I had to be half a journalist, half a translator.
While doing these books, what did you learn about him that you had a lot of experience, but what did you learn about him that you didn't know earlier?
So what did I know? What did I learn about Gulzar? That his sensitivities run very deep. He thinks much more than he says, and he lives in a world of his own making, and he never forgets his debts, which is very rare. Today people use you, forget you, and it's gone. When they meet you, they just may say hi, you call them, they may say hello, or they may say I'm busy, or they may not even bother. But he doesn't forget a debt to a book he read of Tagore. So I think that's so beautiful, and that's something young people should learn and understand, that saying thank you in your heart to someone who has helped you helps you grow, gets their blessings.
You were working with Femina long before you became the editor.
Yes.
But you were associated, if I'm not mistaken, with Miss India before you became editor.
Yes, I, said there's so much excitement happening. Mrs. Patil goes up and down and all these girls come in and out. So I want to do something. So I went and told her I'd like to get involved. And she was very generous. If you wanted to do something, she'd never stop you. So she said, sure. But what was the job she gave me? Go to the airport, look out for them, put them in the car safely, wait for the next girl. So this, and then they used to stay at a hotel in Colaba. I don't remember, Farias, one of those hotels. And from there, get them into the bus and bring them to Shanmuganand. So this was my level. And once in a while, when a Miss India was going for Miss Universe, I would go with her to Kalaniketan or wherever they were getting their clothes from. They would get about 7,000-8,000 worth of clothes. Now you will get a dupatta for that price. But they would get a wardrobe of 7,000. So they would get a sari and a ghagra or a skirt or whatever they wanted. I would go and help them choose.
But then just before you became editor, I think in 1992, Madhu Sapre almost won Miss Universe.
Yes.
She came third runner-up, I think. And then the very next year, Namrata Shirodkar did it. I think she was in the top 6.
Yes.
So with your experience, you'd already been working on this, and did it give you some kind of inkling, some kind of feeling that, okay, maybe India's time is coming, maybe we can do well?
See, I must tell you two things. Suzanne Sablok, many years ago, in Mrs. Patil's time, came 7th.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was big. And as for the Miss India, when Madhu Sapre won, by then I was executive editor. They hadn't given me the post yet. Don't ask me why, it's another story.
Okay.
But they hadn't given me the post yet. And I was deputy editor. Mrs. Patil was still the editor. And when it was Namrata's chance, Mrs. Patil had left. And Mr. Pradeep Guha had taken over Femina and Filmfare like I'll save it or dump it. We'll see what to do. It was like a last-ditch attempt to save the magazine because we're not getting any ads and they wanted to shut the magazines. So because he was a marketing person, he said, let's make Miss India a brand by itself. So that was his vision. Okay. So then we sat down to work and we started by talking to Madhu Sapre. We said, what was it that went right? What was it that went wrong? We understood what it is that Miss Universe wants. And that is how we trained Namrata.
So it started then.
It started then. I sat at Santa Cruz in the Centaur. We spent a lot of time here because that's where the contest was. And I remember while everything was being put up, the stage was being put up and all those banners were being put up. I was sitting and writing the script. And I would spend the night here because we would all be 6 or 7 of us on one bed, lying helter-skelter because we had to wake up and do our work whenever we were called. And then we were very thrilled when Namrata called us from there and said, I placed in the first 6. So we said, right path. And then we kind of codified it and made sure we got lots of experts in to talk about the various aspects of grooming. And then it became a kind of a production.
Do you manage that within a year? Because the next year was like the year where almost all of India was glued to the television set, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. But it was Aishwarya I had been chasing for 3 years. Because I remember I was doing a shoot and this makeup man called Praveen, he told me, he says, आपके लिए एक Miss World है. I said, कौन है? बोले Aishwarya है, Aishwarya Rai. So I said, okay, बताओ मुझे number दो and all that. So I started chasing her. And I happened to tell people that I'm chasing Aishwarya Rai. And then by then she had appeared in the Pepsi ad. So you won't believe for 2 years, girls would come in for Miss India and hearing Aishwarya's name, they would pull out. She came in the 3rd year. So it was just amazing.
I think it was the first time in Miss India's history that 2 contestants tied for the first place.
Yes.
So what was going on backscene when that was announced?
You see, backscene, what was happening to a large extent was that there was Aishwarya, who was well known, sweet girl, everybody liked her. So the moment she came in and they needed a makeup change, everybody would run to her. And all the other girls would feel, I also need Baba, I have to go up there. And there was Sushmita, very quiet, but very determined. And the moment she won the first swimsuit round, because that was her weak point, that was her Achilles' heel. Because she was thin and tall and dark, she felt that was where I'm lanky and like an ostrich. So when she crossed that, she said, no, I'm going to win this crown. So I think backstage there was mayhem. And there's always, I was backstage much later when Lara and, they tied. And it was like Lara is praying, Priyanka's doing something else, and Diaz. So I think there's the tension those girls go through is not fun. It's not fun, but the rewards are brilliant.
Yeah, but what were these 2 girls like then, Sushmita and Aishwarya? They were both very young, but looking at them through your eyes, what were they like then?
Sushmita was a total doghouse. Nobody looked at her. My own favorite was Komal Rampal, Arjun Rampal's sister. She was lovely. She had a fantastic body. She was very sweet, very nice. Ash was also very nice. But I have this habit that everybody is pushing somebody. I like to push the underdog. So my underdog was Komal, And but we knew Ash would place. So I said, वो तो आ ही गई, अब किसी और को भी push करो जो आ सकती है. So nobody really noticed Sushmita. She was an absolute dark horse. But as time went along and we interacted with them, we realized that Sushmita had a rebellious streak in her. She was very much her own person. She had a blend of vulnerability and absolute devil may care. And she wanted to tell the world, I don't care. So she would break rules, she would do all this. Aishwarya was grounded. She was intelligent. So people thought because she's pretty, she's not as intelligent as Sushmita. Sushmita spoke out. Sushmita was quick. She was street smart. Aishwarya was more balanced, more grounded, extremely beautiful, of course. Had a few mannerisms which I thought she should shed. But otherwise was a lovely person. She was one of the few, when she came back from Miss World, brought gifts for everybody.
Oh, wow. That's sweet.
Yeah, before or go after, I don't know when, but we all got little silver things from her, which was very, very sweet.
So I read somewhere that because Sushmita won Miss Universe, she was worried whether...
Yes, Sushmita herself was worried. No, I think Yes, Aishwarya was worried. Which happened first?
Miss Universe. She won.
Okay.
So Aishwarya, I think, worried
Sushmita
that
came to me worried, saying that, I am tall and dark, and I don't have blue eyes and golden hair. So how am I going to compete with all these people? I mean, these are stories I've said before. So your viewers will say she's repeating herself, but the fact is she did come and say that, and I remember telling her that, look, and so many blondes, one dark-haired girl is going to stand out. So make sure you stand out. Just stand tall. You have the height, you have the looks, come on, do it. And you have the brain, I said. So when Aishwarya came, she came with her own story. She says she's already won. Now what are they going to do? India is not going to get two awards together. I said, look, those judges are different, these judges are different. These contests are in competition with each other, in fact, in some way. And they're looking for different things. They want a spokesperson, they want a woman of the world. These people want a princess, and you're the princess. So just be the princess, But she didn't need it. In front of the camera, that woman is magic.
So, she gave this answer when she was asked about the kind of person she would choose as a husband. There were two very famous serials there back then, I think Bold and Beautiful and Santa Barbara. And the character she chose was somebody who had a caring side and a sense of humor.
Yeah, which is what she did. She chose someone exactly like that.
I was just about to ask you that.
Yeah, I've traveled with them. I traveled with them in France for a shoot for Longines. And I had the opportunity to interact with Abhishek. And I found him very sweet, very caring. And she was also being the good wife and saying yes to whatever he said. But you knew that he was there for her, And he said, oh, we are here in Shanti and this is known for its waffles. I'm going to go and get waffles for all of you. I mean, he didn't have to do any. He could have played the star husband or whatever he wanted to do.
So there's also this story I read where you were very impressed with how Sushmita Sen handled her fame after winning. Where I think
the way she handled the press. In fact, she did me a huge favor. In college, I used to be a daredevil. Any competition happening, I would be there, music, debates, elocution, you name it, with no training, nothing, just jump in. And I remember one of the debates, I realized my opponent, who's still a good friend of mine, I haven't killed him, he was an expert debater, and after he took off, I lost my nerve completely. I looked at my notes and I didn't look up. I just mumbled into my note, this is what I think, And he had been like, nare. And somebody threw a tomato.
Oh, at him?
At me.
At you?
Because they said, boo, how college students are, boo, nikal jao, kya hai, pad rahi hai, and threw one. This was in Hyderabad. I lost my nerve after that. I could never speak in public. And watching her, in fact, they threw me there in Delhi saying, you have to handle the press, you're the editor of the magazine. So I got up literally legs shaking under the table and said, Sushmita Sen, please ask your questions. And I sat down. But listening to her handling Hindi, Bengali, English, people trying to heckle her, she had them eating out of her hand. I said, 19 years old, she can do it. I'm 32. I can do it.
Just in 2000s, you know what magic happened. You
Yes.
brought all 3 crowns home. And I think that has happened only once before that. Australia did it in the 70s, I think.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So, how did that happen? How did all 3 wins happen? Did
Well,
you
they were
expect
such
it?
good women. I mean, each one is something else. I mean, Priyanka is so focused, and you see where her career has gone. She's extremely focused, intelligent, good looking, sings beautifully. What else do you want? She's a fantastic package. Lara is perfect. When we went to, when we went to Bangalore to look at the girls for to shortlist the girls for the finals, it was obvious that Lara was going to win. I mean, she just carries herself with so much grace and poise. And Dia was a mini Aishwarya, that's what we used to call her. And again, very lovely person, very warm of heart. So these things show through in a contest. The judges, if they're able to not get awed by the contest and they're able to communicate that, the judges see it. And they want human beings. They don't want automatons. They don't want robots who are very good looking.
When you saw Priyanka at that age, 18, I think she was, did you feel that this one is a rocket? I mean, her career is going to go places. Any specific anecdotes you'd like to
I
share?
have a very nice anecdote, also repeated earlier, is that we went to Bareilly, because that was her hometown, for the homecoming. And on the way back, she was sitting next to me and she said, Sathya, I need your advice. I said, what is it? So she said, I have offers to join politics. I have offers to join cinema, movies. I don't know what to do. I can do also some beauty business. I said, look, you have a voice. Today you are an icon. And that term is used loosely nowadays, but she was an icon at that time. I said, the world is looking at you. Young women are looking at you. If you join politics and you use your power to take us the right way, to lead the young people the right way, you can create wonders. She said, yes, what a great idea, thank you, and then went and signed up. At which point I said, chalo, ye bhi gayi. But she knew what she wanted.
India has won internationally 15 times. 7 times were when you were part of.
Yeah.
I'm just counting you as editor.
Yes.
Formally announced editor. So, was there something different that happened? Maybe a lot of people say India was the flavor of the month. But I think the work that went behind the scenes
was very hard. One month, 2 months before Miss India started, I would reach home before 1. We would have meetings. I would be driving home at night. My husband would be sitting up saying, is she going to be okay? What happens if she has a flat? That kind of thing. So we worked very hard and we looked and we kind of broke open the secret of what is it that Miss Universe wants and what is it that Miss World wants. And we also helped let the judges understand this, so they didn't go into conflict, and choose someone for the wrong reasons. So all that was there, and we were very focused ourselves on finding those qualities in the girls we interviewed, and then training them, making sure that they did not mouth empty advice or platitudes, that they meant what they said. We made them read the newspapers, we made them meet people, do interviews, meet the press. I think the training was very, very tough.
But then something kind of went off track, if I may say so.
I think what went off track was that the focus shifted.
In what sense?
We would get a lot of money for sponsorships. We put all of it, we plowed all of it back into the event to make the spectacle, to keep the girls looking beautiful, being beautiful, feeling beautiful. If you want that money to go into your kitty and you cut corners,
Oh,
so that's your first focus change.
okay.
I think the second was that the girls were not made to feel special. We made them feel special. We made them feel that you are the ambassadors. You are not just beauty contest people. I have a feeling now they believe they are just beauty contest people. They are not carrying the flag of India forward. That they are putting the imprint of the Indian woman's shoe on the international parade floor. I don't think they feel that.
You've written a book about this, How to Look Like Miss India,
Yeah.
where you've talked about how to build your confidence, how to showcase your personality.
That's what it was. The whole Miss India, actually that
If you
book,
could give some specific tips, like, nowadays
Yeah.
girls are very into, so if they're looking at doing something like this, what would you like to tell them? What tips would you like to share?
see that book has been badly named because at that point, Jagannath thought that they would cash in on the Miss India run, but Miss India today is not the flavor of any girl, young girl. So it is about building confidence. That is the main thing. How to face an interview, how to face your in-laws, how to face your boss if you are going to ask for a raise, and how to therefore feel confident. So you look your best. You do whatever is necessary to look your best. You make sure, like I asked you, I said, is it on tape or is it video? You said video. The first thing I said, I have to wash my hair. Because if my hair is not washed, I feel grimy. And it sticks to my head and I feel 100 years old. And then before we shot, I put on my lipstick because that gives me confidence. I feel, now I'm a professional woman. So whatever it is that gives you confidence. Some people paint their nails, right? So some people drink Red Bull. So whatever gives you confidence, and then to know how to say what you think. So your vocabulary, your being able to express yourself, body language, the way you meet somebody's eyes, the way you look at them. It is not artifice. It has to be natural. So the confidence comes when you are natural. The confidence to be natural comes from building up your confidence. So there is a give and take that's happening somewhere in, and that's what the book helps any young woman do.
Okay. And when you look at all the winners whom you helped, who do you think is a role model for women today?
I don't think there's one. Between Ash and Sush itself, the camp is divided. Okay, then there is Lara, then there's Priyanka, because then she's gone and done what no one else, except Persis, nobody else could do it. Of course, among the men, there was Om Puri and others. But, so I think different people have different goals, and some of them represent those goals.
Going back to your books, you've written about Guru Dutt, you've written about S.D. Burman, Jagjit Singh, and I've also read that you're very passionate about Hindi film music. So, when you look at this era that you've covered, and then you look at the music then and the music today, what difference do you see?
See, the era that I've covered starts a little after I started understanding singing. When we were kids, I would sing all the time. Even now, in the car, I was singing loudly along with the radio, right? So, music is something that Hindi film music spoke to me. I possibly modeled some of my nature on it, because all the heroines were goody and sweet, so I was also goody and sweet. The sharp edges came much later, And the music was melodious, the lyrics were meaningful. You could take them out of the situation and they still held meaning. It's exactly like Gulzar Sahab's work. If you look at the songs he writes for cinema, you can take them out and they still hold meaning. You can apply them to yourself. Sometimes, when you're low, you can take a song which gives you hope. When you're confused, you can listen to a song that gives you direction. So I think all that is there. Today, there is good music. I'm not saying there isn't, but most of it, unfortunately, is more about bouncing at a party, rather than sitting and absorbing the tune or the words, or understanding the emotion behind the music.
You met so many legends of Hindi cinema, and you've read about them.
I did all these books after they died.
No. I'm not talking about your books. I'm talking about in your professional life. You met people. You watched films.
Yeah.
As someone who loves cinema, you've formed your own opinions. So let's say Sathya Saran throws a dinner. Who's she going to? Who are the 3 people she'd like at her dinner table?
Alive or dead? I'll go with the heroines first.
Okay.
Oh, there are more than 3, but there's Vajanti Bala for sure. She was my first flame. There's Meena Kumari. There's Madhubala. Now I want more seats at the table. I want Tanuja. I want Vidya Balan.
You really do like her, don't you? Who? Vidya Balan?
Yes. I find her real.
In what sense?
She doesn't let herself be carried away by the tide of being a star. She's human. And she doesn't mind being different. And I love the role she has chosen. I mean, there are in a lot of these women, there is a depth which we don't get to see, because we see them as larger than life. If you look at Tabu, for example, she can't do those roles she does if there was not depth to her. But you don't see that depth. She doesn't let you see it. If you see Meeta Vashisht, for example, even Neena, for that matter, Neena Gupta, there are layers below which you don't see. But they're all there. So I think I would have all of them at my table. Rekha. All of them at my table. Rekha, because we share a birthday.
And what about the male stars? Oops. But this I'm going to change. Now you're not allowed to. You're allowed to pick only from the younger lot.
Dilip Kumar. Younger lot. I want Dilip Kumar. I don't know. Younger lot. Oh God, they're also strange. Om Puri. Is that young?
I love Om Saab, but today's lot.
I don't know that too well. I'll have to think up the names. Who do I like? Arshad.
Sorry?
Arshad Wasi.
Okay.
I'd like him. He's sweet. Who else? I like them on screen. I don't know whether I know them. I want to know them personally, or whether they will be. Ranveer, I may like to check out to see if he's as crazy as he makes himself out to be. Yes, of course. The younger Bachchan.
Miss India, which is something you were saying earlier, was a stepping stone to, seems to have become over the years a stepping stone to cinema.
Today, that's what it is.
But does it still work today? Because nobody's been able to successfully make that leap. Again, in your opinion, why is that?
If you don't have it in there and you're a cardboard cutout, then you have to go and be so many other different people in front of the screen. You have to bend to what the producer says, the director says, what your co-star says, because you're a newcomer. You say, हाँ ठीक है, इसको तो हम mold कर सकेंगे, इसको she's malleable, she's fluff because she's Miss India. So you have to surmount all these obstacles. It needs determination, it needs grit, and today the younger generation lacks it. They want everything on a plate. They want everything in front of them. They want everything instant. So if that happens, then either they give up or the other side gives up.
You saw super success as, one of the, after Mrs. Vimla Patil, one of the more well-known editors of Femina magazine. And then you went through a lot of hardship towards the latter. Would you mind talking about that?
Not at all. I didn't count my success as success. I counted it as a reward for hard work because I worked very hard. I literally took no leave. I was lucky that I was on a panel of editors from across the world, and we traveled twice a year for conferences internationally. So those were my holidays. Though I was working 9 to 5 in the evenings. I would go berserk. I would go to the shopping mall and buy everything in sight, And I was lucky that I would pick up my friend. If we were going west, I would pick up my friend from London. She would accompany me, and we would have a gala time. So that was my holiday, so to say. But my family holidays, everything was on hold for almost 10 years. So it was hard work, and wherever I was, I would make sure they sent me the pages. I would read every page. I would make corrections. I would send them back. So I didn't look at it as success. I looked at it as success for the magazine. I'm not saying this to sound great. It is the truth. Yeah. Yes, I did enjoy a lot of celebrity status, but I knew even then it was false. It was a bubble. And it was the name of editor, because people would come and tell me, "You're so gorgeous." I said, "I've always been gorgeous. Bloody hell, I've been sitting there outside Mrs. Patil's cabin for years. And you just walked past and suddenly I'm gorgeous. Look at it." So one can see through these people, And I think my parents brought me up well enough to know that fame and whatnot, while it's there, but you must know that it will pass. What matters is what you do with what is with you, what you have been given. And I felt it was my mission. It had been handed to me. It kind of happened very naturally without my trying to do anything about it. That somewhere the magazine became a friend, philosopher and guide. My team worked along the same path. We all spoke the same language, and the magazine was a success. Therefore, I was a success. If the magazine had failed, they would have plucked and thrown me out.
But in a way, that still did happen, if I'm not mistaken. Towards the end, they
that
maybe
happened for a very
vision.
different reason. I think it happened for two reasons. One, because of the merger with the BBC. And when new people come and take power, they want the power. And when you have a spotlight, they're blaring and their little lamps can't show, they want the spotlight turned away. So I was promoted. I was made a director in name with really no powers, no name on the masthead. And so immediately the light was switched off. People who would be quoting me would not answer the phone. And all that happened. But I didn't give up. I said, okay, you want me to make money? Brand Alliances director, I will do it. I made money. I did shows on the ground. I did training programs with using the Miss India mantra. And I'm very proud to say this because I can't even do my math properly. I can't count my change properly. Literally, I'm not joking. I failed in maths throughout school. But when they said they gave me a target. They said you have to make 50,000 rupees for us in a year. In 6 months, I made 1 crore for them. And then I said, I've proved myself, I'm going.
What you said is so familiar to what is happening today. There are companies that are merging, which leaves people worried about whether their jobs are going to sustain or not, whether their roles are still relevant. And there's new tech that's come in that's redefining jobs completely. So from your perspective, your experience, and it's something you've dealt with very successfully, you found new avenues for yourself. What would you suggest to people who are facing this kind of difficulty?
See, I will say don't make the mistake I made. Don't put everything into the job you're doing, which is what I did. I invested every moment of my time in my job. I put all my hobbies on hold. I did write fiction because that would come naturally. I would write the middle once in a while for the newspaper, so I would continue to write. But everything else was on hold. I did drama, but that was also accidental and another passion that I groomed. but my focus was there, and the drama also happened because I was going through a bad time, and I needed I had fallen foul of the union, and they were threatening me, so I didn't go home immediately because they would wait for me there at the station. They said, "Hum station mein wait karega, haath pair tod dega." So I would go off to Santa Cruz. I'd come here to do my rehearsals and stuff. So I will say, don't put all your focus on your work. There is family, there is life, there is vacation, there is fun, and there's a hobby. And then if things get so bad that you cannot stay in the job, either find something else, but don't sit and suffer. I suffered for a whole year. I really went through hell. And it was a secret hell because I didn't want my family to know about it. So it was absolute like being in a concentration camp for me. Yeah, but at the end of it, I think somebody was looking after me, and this Guru Dutt book started happening, and I told myself, here we are. There is another world I can escape into when the going gets tough. And I did that. And finally, I remember I jumped to DNA.
Today, there's a whole new world of content creators. And how do you look at them? What do you think of content? What do you think of this new way of disseminating information? And what would you tell them? Because you have decades of experience. There's a whole, it's like a treasure trove that everyone can learn from and pick from, and it's just there, you know.
That's why I teach at NIFT. And I can use the example of my students. I tell them, when I ask you to write something, you have to do your research. You have to make sure your vocabulary is good to be able to express what you do. Content writing today is the human in ChatGPT form. They are just collecting information. It doesn't have a soul. Why have magazines failed? They don't have a soul anymore. It's just content and good pictures. If you don't reach out and touch me, why am I going to reach out to you? Why am I going to spend money on you? Right? And why am I going to keep you in my house? Because it reflects on me if I have something that's not good enough. Yeah. So I think social media is, I'm hoping it's a bubble which will burst. Because the younger generation is so influenced by it, is made, earlier we had things like Fair and Lovely which made you feel vulnerable, not up to the mark. Now social media is doing it, and doing it regardless of who you are. You can be talented, it will make you feel that you're ugly. If you're beautiful, it will make you feel you're stupid. It doesn't matter. It will find a way to make you feel bad. And the fact that you want likes, the fact that you want... I find it sometimes, I post something and I find myself going up to see how many people have looked at it. And I tell myself, no, don't do that. You don't need someone to tell you whether it's good or not. You know it's good. I post one of my reviews. Yesterday I posted a review of a book I had done. And I went to check how many people have read it. And I checked the names of the people who had read it. It's the same 20 names.
So, in essence, what I'm getting from this conversation is that ultimately, what Sathya Saran is saying is that if you want to make an impact in this world, be your own person, be your personality, and work on yourself.
Be as individual as you can, because each of us is different. Yes, we all pick up things from others and we make it part of us, but be...
Now you have to come back to your table and pick up today's heroines who you'd like to invite for dinner.
I know who they are, but I don't know their names half the time. There's Tapsi. I like her. I don't know who they are. I mean, I watch them on TV and say, wow, but I don't know who they are. Shefali, will you count her as today's heroine? Yes, she does good roles. Who acted with, that was Vidya.
Yeah. So today, if someone wants to pick up pen and paper, figuratively speaking, if someone wants to become a journalist, a writer, what would you tell them?
Start by reading. And don't read magazines, don't read newspapers, read the classics or read contemporary fiction, read contemporary or non-fiction. Build your vocabulary, widen your perspective. It cannot be your world, your locality, your family, your friends, and then a little bit of where you stay. It cannot be that. I personally don't read the newspapers. Stopped long years ago. As a journalist, I didn't read newspapers, but the fact is that I read other things. So you have to be able to know what is happening in the world around you to an extent. You have to be able to articulate. So read and then write.
All right. On that note, thank you so much for joining us on the Rediff Podcast.
Welcome.
So can you talk about watching that event sitting here in Bombay?
Yes, we were all watching it together. And I think we were in Mr. Guha's house, Rediff Guha's house. And it was nail-biting. And she started off very well. And we said, "Arey wow, fantastic. Oh, she looks lovely. She's moving beautifully." And she was very good on stage. She had great presence. And then at some point, we found someone was edging closer in the marks when they started coming. And then I started getting very nervous. And I remember telling myself, will she win, will she win? And then I said, if elephants come anywhere on screen, she will win. And then I told myself, how stupid, how will an elephant come? She's not in India, There's no question of an elephant. It should be some other animal I should have thought of. And then it continued in last round. Nothing has happened to change it. They're running neck to neck. And then it was now, ladies and gentlemen, the last question round, and then they changed the stage and two wooden cutout elephants are brought in as the wings. And I said, it was like